We couldn't find it, yeah. We couldn't find it.
I'm good. Go ahead, Jeff.
Nope.
Thank you.
So that's the one we got downstairs. So. No, I was reading the minutes, I think he had a lot of cuts of that like this.
Zoning Board of Appeals.
Oh.
What's your name? Thank you.
Henry. No, on the top. But did you?
Yes.
It's not gonna go on TV, but if I have to.
Good evening, how are you?
I don't know, I saw him.
We're here.
You ready? Okay, we're starting at 6:30. Roll call.
Burl Binder. Gary Casper.
Here.
Daniel Miller. Here. Shirley Seeley.
Here.
Pamela Stillo Binder.
Here.
Ian Rudnick. Carl Miller. Here. Jennifer Miller.
Here.
Henry Horning. Penny Jermaine.
Here.
Okay. Ian's.
Yeah. Ian, come on in.
You're at the right place.
Normally, we don't get this kind of turnout.
Welcome. Okay, we got a full house. The approval of the agenda, motion?
I'll second it.
Motion by, oh, you guys are gonna trick me up already. B. Binder, supported by P. Stillwell Binder.
Correct.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay, how about the approval of, motion for the approval of the minutes, June 16th?
Support.
Motion by B. Binder, supported by C. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I was abstaining.
Okay, number 4, correspondence. A, 171 East Huron Avenue update.
In your packet is a letter that was sent to the building code official regarding zoning approval for the proposed apartments at 171 East Huron Avenue on the second story. We also have a copy of the revised drawings, which is dated June 21st, 2014, which corrects the issue with apartment number 7. Correct.
Objection to that?
Now they're all in compliance regards to zoning, yes.
Okay.
Not correct, zoning, not building.
So the building's pending.
It's not under our authority, it's with the building code official in Carroll.
So we're okay so far as this.
Yes.
Any other questions on that? No. Okay, how about number B, letter B, Cass River Berm.
No. Site plan.
Excuse me. I was, site plan, it's wrong B. Landscaping wall, parking lot / landscaping wall at 119 Washington Street, First Presbyterian Church.
This is in regards to, there was a question proposed regarding the retention wall. If a retention wall is 4 feet or under for the building code official, there's a building permit is not required, so that structure was not exceeding 4 feet. As a result, the necessary permit requests were submitted, and then also it states in here about the zoning permit issued to Timber Oaks that was issued by staff also, so we're in compliance regarding that property too. We need a motion to accept
Okay,
correspondence.
any motion to accept this correspondence?
Motion. Motion by Rudnick, supported by Jermaine, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay, we're down to public comments.
Mr. Casper, before we go into public comments, could I, as a board member, make a comment?
Sure.
I noticed in the advertiser last week, there was a statement that the planning commission and the city council may have had some behind closed door meetings. And the comment was a very poor response I thought from our city manager, that his comment was not to my knowledge. Now, Mr. Barrett, you were hired to keep the council and all the boards on track. That would mean no closure to meetings, that would be, those would be illegal, and you would have known about that, because they would have been here. And no one did anything behind any closed doors, nothing wrong. And I feel that as the city manager, it was your responsibility to let people know more than what you did. That, especially when it came up to this ordinance, it would have been nice if you had been more responsive by saying, no, there was no closed doors, and that it would have been nice if you had let people know how this all came about, changing this ordinance. This ordinance was changed because of Mr. Casper needing it to be changed. It went to you, and then it went to this board, and then this board did it with the attorneys in review, and it was sent to the council. And it had nothing to do with Pioneer Webinar. And I really feel that it should have been put out there, especially by you, that this had to do with the fact that these buildings in the business district, that like the rental that Mr. Casper has on Main and Oak, or some of the other buildings down there owned by other people, had been told that there was a possible chance that their insurance could be canceled. If they had a claim for some reason, they could be denied. It was told at this board that there was also a chance they could not remortgage anything, possibly sell it, because people could not get a mortgage unless it was a cash sale. So it would have been, I feel that it would be, had been your responsibility as the city manager to set some of this straight, and you didn't. And I feel that in one aspect, you were fueling the fire instead of putting the fire out. And I know this is just my opinion, nobody else's, but I felt that you did a disrespect to this board and to the council and to the city by not standing up and letting these people know these things and why this ordinance was being worked on. That's my piece, and thank you for letting me say that.
Well, I'd like to respond in regards to Mr. Gilchrist's article. I don't control what he prints, and I'm not gonna throw Mr. Gilchrist under the bus, but I also had an article done by Saginaw News through Lindsay. I also had an article done by NBC 25, which they did recordings. I took the time to supply the information to Mr. Gilchrist regarding the more specific information regarding the minutes. He chose not to pick them up. I made arrangements in regards to that aspect. In regards to meetings held, we have multiple meetings held, and in regards to a majority of planning commissions meeting somewhere, I don't know in regards to that, and surely in regards to meetings and such, yes, in regards to City Hall, I know if meetings are held here or not. In regards to other activities and such, I don't know that, and in regards to that comment, it's a comment put in the newspaper. Because they don't write everything verbatim.
No, they don't, and I know that.
I'd like to make one comment. At the special meeting we had last Monday, it was brought up at that time, and actually, city manager spelled out what the ordinance, he actually read what the ordinance was that night, that clear, because that question, where you're saying, you know, what was the ordinance about? The one lady that was there took it upon herself, because she made a comment that afternoon on the news that it was a secret meeting, we were changing the ordinance. She was right there, heard the whole thing, so again, it's how they say it and how they twist it, you know, how it's written.
So let me get his comments.
Okay. Any other comments on the comments? No?
Would we like to, on public comment, put a timer on these?
Yeah, it's a good idea. We were thinking of discussing that earlier.
I would make a motion to limit, say 2 minutes for the public to make comment.
I'll second that.
Okay, I only need one. Okay, motion by C, supported by C. Miller to limit public comment to 2 minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
And we're open for public comments. Yes.
Just for my sanity, there is a sign-up sheet in the back, so if you could, just write your name, if it's before or after public comment, so we get everybody's names all correctly for the minutes. I'd appreciate it.
For those that don't know me, so you may do. My name is Michael Kleinsmith. I live at 6630 Washburn Road. I'm speaking for myself, but I am the Vassar Township clerk, and what's going on here could affect me. It's not often that we have something that can affect us not only at the local level, but at the national level. That's part of the issue of what's going on here. I'm just going to talk about one aspect of this now is that there's been reports in the paper that what's happening to these people after they come to this facility is that they're being released to the public with their families. And I think that's one big concern that hasn't been mentioned a whole lot, but that's one of the biggest concerns that we have, is that people that are being treated at this facility, after they are processed, they're going to be released to their families in the country. And I'm worried about what if these families start gravitating to Vassar. You have to think about the numbers that are going to happen here. They can have 60 people at one particular time, but that could come somewhere near 1,000 people per year. So if 1,000 of these illegals come to the city and are being processed, and then are being released to the general community at a rate of about 1,000 a year, in 3 years, this location could be outnumbered by illegals compared to residents. I think that's a concern that we have to take very seriously. I think that this is a change of use that's going on, that this needs to be reviewed, and they need some sort of permit or documentation for the city to be able to do something like this. So I'm thankful for the opportunity to speak to you, and I think that this is a great concern. That's why everyone's here, because it's just such an important issue, and we want to protect American citizens and the city of Vassar. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Betty Numley, 128 Prospect Street, Vassar, Michigan. Normally, the people at city council see me a little bit here and there, but I couldn't wait that long. And I had to write this down because I didn't want to get tongue-tied when I say this. If you Google Vassar, Michigan, you will learn that Vassar is a city in Tuscola County in the United States of Michigan. You'll discover that it was founded March 1st, 1849 by 4 men who were led by James M. Edmonds and Townsend North in search of an area to build a dam and start a city. The city was named after Edmonds' uncle, Matthew Vassar, who later founded Vassar College. You will continue to read about the geography, demographics, education, etc. However, what you will miss is the essence of Vassar. Vassar is a city which has survived through many adversities, probably the most memorable of which is the flooding of the Cass River and Mort Drain. The citizens of Vassar work tirelessly as necessity dictates to ensure that our businesses and families have the best possible outcome in any crisis situation. So proud of them. As one can imagine, in a small city, firemen, police, and EMT workers are often called upon to rescue friends and family. Don't think that our political differences will abolish the underlying fact that we care about one another. There are citizens that spend untold volunteer hours, elected officials, and city administrators as well, who work to ensure that our community thrives in an otherwise hostile economic climate. I personally am outraged that individuals would enter our city with the intent to destroy our citizens and our businesses. The recent assault on Vassar True Value and its employees is unacceptable. It's unbelievable that an organization and the individual that leads that organization would place such a low value on our city and its residents. The owner of Vassar True Value has a family, as do the employees. It perplexes me. Am I 2 minutes?
Yes.
I'll give her my time.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm almost done. It perplexes me how a person can wave the American flag and say that they uphold the Constitution of the United States and literally try to destroy the livelihood of citizens of that country simply because they do not agree with their opinion on a particular subject. It is sickening. I do not believe that anything for a news story, whether it is truth or not, flies in the face of the citizens of Vassar. We should not tolerate this antagonistic, malicious, and hateful behavior in our community. I would ask that this planning commission, our other boards and commissions, council, both governmental and community and civic organizations, continue undeterred on the path that they have had in the past and represent the best interests of our city, our residents, and our businesses. Thank you.
Thank you.
My daughters and my grandson live in Vassar, so I do have a connection to Vassar. I brought copies for everybody.
Excuse me,
And yes,
we ask your name.
I'm Tamara Murray. Tamara Murray. I brought these old booklets for your reference. I'm representing. I have a list back there. The citizens that have signed on under the MICE umbrella represents a group from Vassar to inform and begin process of initiative and referendum. Because more Americans have access to initiative and referendum in their local government as opposed to state government, they believe this is the best course of action. The citizens want to make sure entrepreneurs seeking to open business in the city are lawful and true American citizens. To protect the safety of the citizens, to guard the resources of the city and the state, and protect said resources from being used unlawfully. This is a formal statement to the Planning Commission in reference to Ordinance 86.522. The drafting of the ordinance initiative would be referred to Ordinance 86.523. The petition and collection of signatures refers to Section 4.25, and I have all this for you. And I will turn in the list of names also. Thank you.
Thank you.
I need to make sure I didn't have to. Is there enough?
I have, I don't know what that's different. Okay, wait a second. You guys have to go to the same.
No, okay, and then that's all we have with that one. Here, pass the rest around. There's only a few copies of it.
Okay, all right, continue, please. Your name, sir?
Hello, my name is Lou Smallwood. I live at 1003 Day Road, Vassar 48768. I just want to talk for a second about reminding this group that the purpose of any organization, governmental body, the primary purpose is to ensure or protect the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens in that community. It has been reported by Wolverine Human Services that the 60 to 120 illegal aliens who are they would like to transport to Vassar will be immunized once they get to Vassar. That presents a direct threat to the health of the people of our community. These people are going to be transported. We don't know what types of diseases they may have, and if they are infectious, and we will not know that until they arrive. That, as I said, is a direct risk to the health of the people in this community. Also, from a safety standpoint, the Wolverine Human Services facility is not secure enough to ensure that the people who are deposited there will remain there and not just up and walk off into the community at their own will. There's no way to ensure that those people will be retained in there and not enter the community. That's all I have to say. I just wanted to remind you of your duty of protecting the health, safety, and welfare of the people of the community.
My name is Roger Lish. I went to school in St. Michael's and then to Vassar High School, graduated from Vassar High School. This topic is not about the children. It is a wedge that we use children to drive a wedge between those who are God-fearing, law-abiding, and law-abiding Americans. This issue is about law and order. This issue is about the federal government forcing its will on the common people, not just in this community, but everywhere else in the country. We have a runaway federal government who cares nothing about the people except taking more of our money, taking more of our rights, and dangling a carrot in front of Wolverine Services, which I would believe it would be a huge carrot. Everybody knows there's nothing like having a contract with the government, the United States government. They take big money. I'm asking that the committee and the city of Vassar initiate a law motion to stop this. There's no reason for this. I know the money's there, and everybody's looking forward to that, but we will lose in the long run. This is, once again, about law and order, and our federal government does not obey its own laws. Thank you.
Any more?
My name is Anna Kleinsmith. I live at 6630 Washburn Road, Vassar, Michigan, which is in Vassar Township, where we share some services with the city, such as we donate $1,500 to the park. We share the fire department, and but I come as a private citizen. And the question I have is about the zoning. Under section 86-536, which is a site plan review, quote, all districts, unquote, be amended to read as follow, and it's A3. Any change in use, whether or not there isn't a physical change to the structure, would require site plan approval if the property is zoned in an OSB 1, B2, I1, or I2 district. The question I have is, and because this is a planning meeting, the industrial park over there is zoned, and it will take educational and correctional. And I understand that's what Wolverine does, but when you research this, what they are proposing is a resettlement camp. Resettlement camp is a little bit different than just educational or correctional, because it is a resettlement camp to prepare individuals to be resettled, where it's not what I believe their original permit was requested for, and I'm not sure. I had a Freedom of Information request for the original 1988 application, and I'm not sure if you've located that. But that is my question with your zoning, because zoning is so important, is that this really would be described as a resettlement camp. Good luck, and God be with you.
Thank you. Any others? Okay, this time looks like we complete the public comment portion of the meeting. Okay. A, site plan review on 112, or 112 and 118 Cass Avenue. Update.
The update I can tell you is I've called I think twice since last meeting. Got a voicemail, haven't heard anything back, but I was informed, I believe, that she will be coming back.
That's gonna be my report, there will be a violation visit made by her on the property. That was my report.
That's my report.
Violation.
My update.
Yep. That's it.
Okay, B, Cass River Berm, Tuscola County Drain Commission.
And I don't have an update from them.
Very next one.
Is that just what makes clarification is just taking care of the properties or what?
Correct, and there was a question made about the burden itself.
Well, whose responsibility is to take care of it?
So that's just the berm right along the west side of the river.
It's the burn along the Cancer Burn.
I got a wall.
That's part of the berm.
No.
Where makes starts at?
Oh, does it? All right, anyway, hopefully next month we'll have something on that. Okay, C, private pools, definition needed in ordinance, in-ground versus above-ground, or temporary.
In your packet are sample ordinances or current ordinances for review from Bay City, from Caro, Cass City, City of Frankenmuth. And then I was able to find some definitions by just doing a search through municipal code, which is the online dictionary of other codes throughout the state that uses that services. So there was an ongoing conversation in regards to pools in general, because of what our language currently says, if we wanted to define what a private pool was or not. Because based on our previous conversation, we have multiple pools that being in-ground pool. We have temporary pools that are above ground, and then we also have temporary pools that are above ground that are not taken out.
I think if we look at all the ordinances that you supplied us with, I don't see what they even define those.
Right, the last page there, we had some, the community uses the term portable pool, means a prefabricated pool which may be erected at a point of intended use, and which will be succinctly disassembled and put back up at the new location is generally installed on the surface of the ground and without excavation. And that was the only. Then we have swimming pool means any constructed or prefab pool used for swimming or bathing over 24 inches of depth. And they had a swimming pool private means any constructed pool which is used as swimming pool in connection with not more than 4 dwelling units and available only to the occupants and their private guests.
So you just want to add a definition to ours? Is that
Well,
what
we were having a conversation because we just used the term private pool. And the conversation said it was a private pool, then a pool that was installed as a permanent structure or not, because we do have those that are above ground that are temporary, blue ones. However, they're not necessarily taken down every year. So is that then a permanent pool or not a permanent pool? And should those be zoned on, each year or not zoned each year as a structure?
Could we do something like require that the pool's gonna be temporary and be taken down by a certain time of year?
Well, then that'd be like an enforcement issue, and that'd be, a clarity issue that would need to be made in the ordinance. I've been talking to Kiro on their permit, or on their ordinance, they permit the pool every year. When it's affordable or temporary, when they permit it every year.
Now, is that anything that's bigger than 24 inches?
Yeah, I mean, there's.
Is this what we're using as a definition?
No, that's just an example. Because, yeah. You bet. So, in regards to, Hero has a similar definition or a similar section. They have private pools shall be permitted as an accessory use within the rear yard only, provided they meet the following requirements. They have the 10-foot rule from the joint property line or other right-of-ways. It should be at least 4 feet from the outside pool wall to any building located on the same lot. No swimming pool shall be located within 35 feet from the front line. And then no swimming pool shall be located in the easement. And then they have a similar language about putting up a fence and such if it's below, if the pool is not at least 4 feet in height. So in regards to their, talking to their city manager, that they go through this every year in regards to permitting them. When it comes to the blue pools, if I use that language, being the temporary ones. Correct?
What do we require as far as permits, as currently?
When it comes to a zoning permit, if it was a permanent structure, we would require them to get a zoning permit associated with that structure, and if they put the requirement of the fence around it, and if they were gonna put a deck around that pool too.
That's not a permit.
Correct.
That's an in
But we're covered pretty well in the permit.
That's where we had discrepancy, and in-ground was the past, and then what do we do with those above-ground permanent pools too, that some individuals have done too? Because we have a couple of those in the community. I just permitted one the other day. It's above ground with the deck and fence.
What we're looking for is a definition.
Correct.
definition on permanent.
Permanent.
I'm having trouble hearing,
Yep, sorry,
not facing
permanent.
each other.
Okay, so that kind of-
I think we were looking into, excuse me, whether, correct me if I'm wrong, what I'm talking about, if it required a pump or some filtration.
Recirculating system,
Yeah.
anything that's permanent would be considered,
Because usually.
with a recirculating pump,
4
to
foot
fill,
filter, like the, even what you're talking about, require some sort of
filtration system.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, those ones that are, almost look like they have an inflatable ring around them, those don't have a circulation system on them, do they?
Some of them don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I like that idea as it being permanent, but having a recirculating system.
Yeah.
I think that's a good signifier.
Filtration, circulating system, criteria.
But a lot of those that normally people would take down have that system on them. Even if there's little bitty short ones and they have a little bitty filter on them. So.
Maybe something, they'll add something to that, like anything over 24 inches high, or maybe something in larger pool. Would be the idea. Something like that. You know, we wouldn't want to permit for some little teeny thing.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
That's gonna be your guys' decision regarding that.
I mean, like this one here, you got portable pool is defined as 24 inches.
Well, the question is, the question being, not everybody's putting in your, what we think of as a permanent pool, like, you know, digging the hole and doing the cement, they're buying those ones from the store, which are either PCV pipe or they're blow-ups. Are those then considered permanent or not needing a permit?
What, you know, everyone with a permit pool is already required to get a permit, right? If you don't have a permit by whatever the date is, when you're required to take it down, then you either get a permit and it's a permanent pool, or, you know, you take the pool down. It's not a permanent pool, then the definition becomes less important. Most people probably aren't going to take the pool out, you know, for all winter long, because it. So, I mean, I know there's an enforcement issue, but at the same time, like, you know, if my neighbor put up a in-ground pool that was an eyesore and let it go all stagnant, I mean, you're gonna, just people are enforcement issues. You know, they're not responsible. Likewise, if I've got a neighbor that has a semi-temporary pool and he, you know, keeps it up and, you know, he's nice to everybody and, you know, nobody has any problems with him, no one's probably gonna report him and there'll never be an issue. So,
So like a time period?
yeah.
So you're saying basically then either permit it or it's gotta be down by a certain date?
Right, because that's the
Okay.
definition of temporary, right?
You know,
That certainly simplifies it.
It would.
It really would.
Because that's, I think, what started some of this, is that some people were taking down those pools.
Right.
Correct.
Is there any people that, for some reason, don't, well, I did something there, but I had to buy a new picture, but.
Could do.
so we're looking for the definition of a permanent pool.
Or if it's not necessarily a definition of, it's just a period of time needed to go forward.
I would say that would work.
And then the resident could define whether they want it to be permanent or not by permitting it or getting it down. Their choice.
Yeah.
Yes,
And I like it when, as a resident, I have a choice.
yes.
So maybe we should integrate something with a time limit plus the size and the different features, like filtration system.
They'd have to come to me.
Filtration system, they can come out. It doesn't matter.
Or size at 24 inches.
No, I would think it'd be more just the non-permanent pools, that they can be up by a certain date,
Non-permanent pools.
as long as they're not.
A date.
Yeah,
Either
not
they
that
just put them up and
they're
take them
permanent.
down, or they don't. And that makes them permanent if they don't.
If they don't, they have to permit them.
Right.
So we need a couple of dates that when they can be put up and when they can be put down or taken down.
Memorial Day, Labor Day, that'd be easy for
Yeah,
everyone
let's
to
get
remember.
kind of late though.
You know,
That's
First of May to the first of August,
No,
or I mean, the
not
first of October.
Yeah.
something like that, yeah.
I mean, that gives
Gives us a little leeway.
that gives them time to get them up, get the water in, get the water warmed up before it's kind of gets wet.
Yeah, I like 1st of May to 1st of October.
That's very nice of it.
I mean, and, yeah, they're not gonna swim before or after either one of them, I would think.
But then Michigan is one.
That's true.
That's
We have a question from the floor. Mr. Baker.
I had a pool for probably 15 years, I took it down every year. And I used to put it up typically by April 15th. It takes a while to get it up one, and then you gotta do a long weekend to do it. And then it would also get warm enough, like everybody was talking about, typically only was in that pool about May, but it takes a while to get it all in, so about chemicals all. leveled out for when they do get to farmer. And then I typically took it down, around the 1st of October, somewhere between the 1st and 15th, depending on the time, obviously weather-wise. So if I had an X pool owner, I would look like April 15th, October 15th.
I don't see any problem there. Maybe it's
Yeah.
to remember.
I make a motion then.
We'll bring it back.
You what?
Bring it back with this
Okay.
addition.
Yeah. You what now?
Bring it back with these additions.
Yeah.
Should we take any more questions?
It's up to you, Chairman.
We'll take the motion.
Just a brief question about the pool. It would seem to me you've looked at many ordinances, but have you looked at many different structures of pools these days?
Right.
Okay.
That's what brought this whole discussion up.
Right.
Is because there's so many different types of structures.
Yeah, the spectrum is.
Oh, it's endless.
Okay.
Okay, so are we gonna make a motion first? Who's
Yes.
making the motion?
I'll make it.
This is that Chairman.
April 15th, October 15th, is that what we want?
I have motion by Ebonder, supported by Sini, to bring back the information associated with the pool ordinance modification for a time period from mid-April through October 1st. Or 1st of October.
Not 1st of October?
October 15th.
Yeah,
April 15th.
April 15th and October 1st.
April 15th, October
Okay.
1st. April 15th, October.
Yeah.
Do you want it October 15th then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
Second one?
yes,
Okay, now let's take a
that
vote.
makes it easy to remember.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay. D, master plan for 2025. Review the public survey questions.
This is up to the board tonight. Do you want to go question by question? Or do you want to just have a copy of this for you and then we bring it back next month and you guys will have your comments and questions ready for and after reviewing? It's up to the group.
I would like to have a chance to really look at the questions.
I would say, there's a lot of questions.
Pages and pages.
So you have the questions there, and then if you guys will review them for next month when planning comes, and then you have your notes and corrections, and we'll go through that as a group as our task item.
In general.
And Debbie with them.
Yeah.
I have a question, Brad.
Yeah, that's, the Parks and Rec went through that and wrote it. No, they wrote it all up, so that's a viewpoint, because I haven't gotten back. There's more, there's additional parts that have to be added to it, so. I believe.
They did pretty good, except for.
Brad, I have a question. If we do hold this till next month, is that going to set us behind on the schedule?
They called me today and said no.
Okay,
Just have your comments ready to go, and then we'll, mark up the questions, and then they can, after that meeting, then they can,
just implement them.
yeah,
Okay.
implement the changes, so you guys just have to come with your corrections.
Okay.
Okay. Good.
So I will not be making copies of these for next month either, okay? Just as a full clarity. I'm not gonna be making additional copies of them.
You need a motion.
Is C making that?
Yes.
Motion by Sini, supported by C. Miller, to bring back to next month. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay. All right, new business. business. Wolverine Human Services.
Yeah, right.
Does anyone want a brief break? I have a feeling it's starting to take a while, so. I could use it.
Okay, we'll take a 5 minutes, the chair with a 5-minute break.
I'm just gonna go over the cover memo, and the rest of the information is background that we found via staff that supports what's going to be shared here. So dated July 21st, 2014, to the Vassar Planning Commission. It has been announced that Wolverine Human Services, located in the city of Vassar, is exploring a service contract with Heartland Alliance out of Chicago, Illinois, as a subcontract to provide temporary shelter housing for male immigrants between the ages of 12 to 17 for up to 1 month at a time. The youth would come primarily from Guatemala, El Salvador, and Honduras. These youth males would receive medical care and basic education at the Wolverine Human Service facility in Vassar. The question has been proposed whether the proposed activity of providing temporary housing shelter for immigrants at the Wolverine Human Services is in compliance with the City of Vassar zoning code and/or approved issued permits by the Vassar Planning Commission and/or Vassar Zoning Board of Appeals. Chronological order of events regarding Wolverine Human Services. October 23rd, 1991, there's a memo from City Manager to City Council with the subject line reading, Pioneer Work Learn Center relocation to Vassar. November 4th, 1991, Vassar Planning Commission. A motion was made, seconded, and carried to present the Pioneer Work and Learn Center Plan Unit Development Site Plan contingent upon the successful annexation with favorable recommendation to the Zoning Board of Appeals for approval with special exception use. November 11th, 1991, City Council, Mr. Robert Wollick from Wolverine Human Services and Mr. Bill Haynes, Director of Pioneer Work and Learn Center, made a presentation regarding their camp in Kingston, Michigan. The City Council approved a resolution to annex 22 acres from Vassar Township. November 14th, 1991, Zoning Board of Appeals. Motion was made, seconded, and carried to grant a special exception use permit to Pioneer Work and Learn Center Planned Unit Development. PUD. The special land use application states the proposed use is special exception use, planned unit development, and the zoning district is unzoned. The attached letter addressed to Wolverine Human Services states there are no additional restrictions other than those listed in Ordinance 79G in Chapter 51, Title 5, Planned Unit Development. As a point of note, 79G ordinance per the boxes that we found was the home occupation ordinance at the time. January 13, 1992, Vassar City Council. Motion was made, seconded, and carried to submit to the Vassar Planning Commission the Vassar Estate Limited Partnership's request for rezoning of their planned unit development to the Planning Commission. February 3, 1992, Vassar Planning Commission. Motion was made, seconded, and passed to accept PUD changes. Motion was made, seconded, and passed to rezone the above described property, Pioneer Work and Learn, to I-2. March 9, 1992, Vassar City Council. Motion was made, seconded, and carried to approve the recommendation of the Planning Commission to rezone the following described property belonging to Wolverine Human Services to I-2. August 10, 1995, Vassar Zoning Board of Appeals. Proposal was submitted by Wolverine Human Services in a special meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals for August 31st, 1995 to vote on this issue. August 14, 1995, Vassar City Council. Resolution was passed in support of the proposed expansion to the Pioneer Work and Learn Center in the Industrial Park. August 21st, 1995, Vassar Planning Commission. A motion was made, seconded, and approved for an amendment to the PWL, Pioneer Work and Learn, as proposed, and to refer the matter to the Zoning Board of Appeals for their August 31st, 1995 meeting. August 31st, 1995, Vassar Zoning Board of Appeals. A motion was made, seconded, and passed unanimously to approve the special use exception for Pioneer Work and Learn pursuant to the Vassar zoning ordinance. November 7, 1995, First Amendment to Declaration of Restricted Covenants as to Vassar Industrial Park. Number 6, the following definition is added to the clause 1 of the restricted covenants at the end of said clause. Vocational facility for juvenile offenders shall mean a facility, building, structure, or development which is used to provide educational and/or vocational training to juveniles. A vocational facility for juvenile offenders, counselors, and staff, as well as wilderness camps and/or boot camps, if such uses are auxiliary and directly related to the means by which the juveniles receive the education or vocational training. A vocational facility for juvenile offenders shall not include any facility, building, structure, or development which has been classified or identified as high security or high security level by the Michigan Department of Social Services or the Michigan Department of Corrections. recorded with Tuscola County Register of Deeds on January 2nd, 1996. As a note, the Declaration of Restricted Covenants was executed and recorded in 1985. It was concluded that the covenants expired June 17th or 18th, 2010, 25 years after the date of execution, and is no longer effect. June 23rd, 1997, Vassar City Council. Resolution was passed in support of Wolverine Human Services Camp Number 4 Boot Camp. June 25th, 1997, Vassar Zoning Board of Appeals. Motion made, supported, and carried unanimously to support the Pioneer Work and Learn proposed project. July 23rd, 1997, Vassar Planning Commission. A motion was made, seconded, and passed unanimously to recommend to the ZBA that they approve an amendment to the Pioneer Work and Learn PUD allowing for the additional camp. July 24th, 1997, Zoning Board of Appeals. Motion was made, seconded, and passed to approve the amendment to the PUD. September 4th, 2012, ordinance number 2012-03. Ordinance number 2012-03 was passed and put into effect that amended Article 9, which is Article 9-1, Light Industrial Park, Section 86-302, Principal Uses permitted by adding I, correctional or vocational facility for juvenile offenders. In addition here, there's Article 11, which is the PUD Plan Unit Development District as of today. So the question that was proposed was there any restrictions placed on this application? The answer to that is no, based on the original application, which is put in the packet here, and I will read that letter for the record. It states, November 18th, 1991, addressed to Wolverine Human Services Incorporated, attention Mr. Robert Wolek. Dear Mr. Wolek, at the Vassar Board of Zoning Appeals meeting held at 8 p.m. on Thursday, November 14th, 1991, I was authorized to issue you a special exception use permit, which you will find enclosed. There are no additional restrictions other than those listed in Ordinance 79G, which I've shared to the group, which is the home occupation permit, or home occupation section, in Chapter 51, Title 5, Plan Unit Development. If you should have any questions concerning any restrictions which might apply to this permit, feel free to contact me at your convenience. Thank you for your time and assistance in this matter. If I can be of any further assistance, please feel free to call me at the number. Sincerely, signed, Michael T. LaChance, Zoning Administrator, Enclosure Zoning Permit, Special Use Permit, ZBA Minutes 11/14/91. As stated on the brief summary, there was no other additional restrictions placed on that permit when it came before the Planning Commission and ZBA under the PUD ordinance regarding the camps and the additions at Wolverine Human Services.
So the way I read this is we don't have, there's nothing, any business that we need to.
In regards to the question was proposed about the use that was proposed and approved at the very original was for temporary shelter, which is for vocational facilities, vocational and correctional facilities for juvenile offenders. As a result, the clientele that has been announced in the media is from 12 to 17, which are considered juveniles. The use that is being proposed is the current use that is being used out there in regards to providing temporary shelter and vocational training, which is an educational education piece in regards to there. So at this aspect, myself acting as zoning administrator, as all the other city managers have, there's not really a change of use being proposed.
But these were for juvenile offenders. Are
Yes, it
these-
says repeatedly.
Are these,
These are
immigrant-
misplaced.
Are these people that, are they offenders or are they misplaced? I mean, they're juvenile, but it says everything right here, it says we refer to juvenile offenders. Now we're gonna have juvenile
Misplaced
misplaced.
juveniles.
We're
As
changing
of
the
right now,
definition.
As of right now, the past practice is that we're not verifying the clientele being out there if they are offenders or not. They may be put out there prior to receiving a judgment by a judge. Does that make sense? They're not all convicted individuals. It can be an alternative to sentencing.
That's like the cart before the horse. It's
Well, but,
I mean, yeah, but that's something I think we may have to look into. Now, if they're not offenders, when they come here, I think we may have we may have we may have
Brad,
a legal problem there.
I'm thinking with, we are looking at this from two different sides here. Would it be possible for the city attorney to look at it and see which is the right way?
well, I've had that discussion in regards to the youth aspect, because when the boot camp came, it was not necessarily all juvenile offenders, that was an alternative. They were not all, clientele were not all sent there from the court system to the records that I have. They could have been an alternative sentencing, or could have been dropped off by the individual for the parents. So as it's stated, we already have a precedent saying that it was not necessarily a requirement that the juvenile subject would have to be charged with a crime in order to be an eligible candidate for the facility.
And to go changing those rules if you're in the middle of the game.
You're saying
Even bigger troubles.
rules about it, basically.
Well, I'm not saying it's been bad, I'm saying when, right, in regards to the additions that were put in with the additional aspects to the camps, being, if you want to call it camp 1, 2, 3, and 4, some of those were, the clientele was not always juvenile offenders in our view of that being ordered by the courts.
Have you got an attorney's
Yes.
opinion?
It has, the attorney has been consulted.
But not on this.
Yes,
Yes.
yes it has.
So
That question was asked.
The question was asked of this, for our legal,
Yes.
I mean, even when it first, the inception, it was kind of directed towards these juvenile offenders. And it goes, where it's mentioned that all the time, even all the way through 2012.
Correct, in regards to juvenile offenders, but then it goes back to when the additions were requested through the planning commission and through the ZBA, there was no additional restrictions put in those motions. And unfortunately, that would be the time to do something of that nature. Are you gonna add, are you gonna, you have a board member question? You
No,
got-
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Ian.
Ian?
So, you know, assuming the attorney's right, I'm gonna have to, I'm not an attorney, right? So this would seem to fall outside change of use, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so, do we have a full understanding of what they're actually going to do other than this brief statement? Like, I mean, I think probably my biggest concern, I think, for everybody here is, like, what is this, you know? I mean, like there is something in here about, you know, people who don't pose a danger, you know, significant danger, you know, dangerous criminals, right? But if we don't even know if these people have diseases, they're vaccinated, have they really been triaged in terms of that? I mean, I would really like to know what the total plan is.
For clarity.
Right, exactly.
That request can be made and we can put that in the record in regards to that aspect of things. And I just want to make a comment regarding the health concern. Our health officer for Tuscola County, being at the health department, is aware. I have a call into her in regards to this. It's been firstly addressed, it's shared with me that this is not the first point of contact, that we are a secondary point of contact.
So the first pick of
Good.
contact.
What if
It'd be across the board.
That custom order.
Correct. But that, in regards to Mr. Rudnick's request, we can make a motion, I can draft a letter as a zoning administrator with these findings and say, at this time, based on previous use, we don't see one, but we want to verify with this new venture that it falls within that same use. And we can put, get it documentation purposes for that. That's, I think it's a reasonable request.
It is a
In
reasonable
addition to
request.
that, we'd like to also find out what time, how long of a time are they down there at the border crossing on our side? How long are they down there getting checked out before they end up getting sent up here? And what checks are there being done?
That's a medical question, that's not a zoning question.
Well, I know, we'd like to know.
No, but it is a security, high security question.
I'm sure that our citizens would like to know how safe they are with some of these issues.
And I'm not gonna dispute that, but that's not a planning commission question.
No, it's not.
Planning is land use and zoning.
I mean, I'm just gonna throw the elephant in your mouth there, right? There's a reason all these people are here, it's not the
Correct.
swimming pool ordinance.
So, they could be a health concern also, if not taken care of.
So, you know, what, I guess, as a planning commission, right, like, everybody in the city's concerned one way or another about this issue. Frankly, a lot of people in the country are concerned about this. Okay, so I think we as a city need to decide what we're gonna do. The power to do really anything is supposed to come from the people at the smallest level. You know, if.
Well said.
So, you know, I mean, I would like to see, if, you know, if we're gonna decide to, as a city, to just say, you know, okay, great, this has nothing to do with the planning commission, this is the whole issue here. We're gonna say, great, you know, or no, we prefer not to have them here. Really, I think someone needs to present an actual plan, like the federal government, as to what they're doing. You know, that comes into our issue as a planning commission, that comes into the city's opinion, because we haven't heard really anything. I hear a lot of junk on the news from NPR, which is totally one side, and then like, you know, Hannity or whoever, that's totally the other side. And I don't know what to believe. I believe what Brad tells me, because I know him, because he lives, you know, in our city, you know, in our area, he works in our city. The people here live here. We all have a vested interest. So if Gary tells me something, I'm gonna believe him, you know? I would just like to have an actual, like, written document from the federal government saying, this is what our plan is, and.
Well, we're not gonna get
I don't
that.
think they have a plan, do they?
But in regards to, like, the overall, in regards to this body here, in the land user and the property owner, that's the relationship that we have. So that request can be out. If they choose not to answer that, then that will become an enforcement issue under the zoning code, because the zoning administrator's asking, in order, we deem that it is based on the information that we have, not provided by you, that it's not a change of use. But if you're failing to comply to the request, then that does become an issue of, you know, of enforcement, because we want to guarantee and verify that the change of use is not occurring. And that request can be made from the zoning administrator under our code.
You're saying.
We also asked them about.
No, in regards to the change of use, about the use of the property, that being the temporary shelter and the vocational educational piece. And we said minors. So the juvenile being a minor, that's anybody under 17. Those are the three pieces right there.
Under 17.
Yeah, 17 and under.
Oh, 17.
That's juvenile.
Can we check, can we also, there was one of the questions out here about security, and I know the security out there is pretty loose, these people get out all the time. Now, what are we gonna do about, what are they gonna do about security, are we gonna have to secure our own yards?
Well, the answer that I'm gonna have for that, Burl, is that that request or that mandate wasn't made on the original application. So as a result, it's not it's not a mandate as of today.
So we gotta control our own yards.
Well, I'm just making that, it wasn't a requirement under the original application in 1991, nor in 95, nor in 97. I understand that there's a proposed indifference of clientele. However, the use is not changing.
Well, I think though, we have this one phrase in here that says it shall not include any facility, building, structure, development that will include or be identified as high security or high security level.
And Pam, that's for the covenant, which that's the notes
That is
on
no
there.
longer on there.
It's no
okay.
longer effective. So, if you have comments, Jerry, you
Okay, do we have any?
But they gotta come up to the podium.
Please come up to the podium, George.
Once again, my name is Roger Lish. You brought up on the proposals, a covenant that you've made with the Wolverine Services. And you brought up the fact that there's nothing in there about the situation with illegals coming over here, children. It was, I think the last one you wrote said was in '97. How could you foresee this in '97? We can't. How could you foresee that if we have a government that no longer protects our borders? And that's the main thing. You brought up vocational training. When they have vocational training for troubled use, how long are they there on average? 6 months? 8 months? These, what we're doing is setting up a transfer point. I mean, that's not that. They were also U.S. citizens. They probably use English as their main language, so we're going to have interpreters brought in. And we can't depend on the federal government to give us the guidelines for anything, because they are flying by the seat of their pants right now. And all they care about is 2014, 2016. But I really want to emphasize the thing that how can you foresee this? You couldn't. This is why I'm asking to have an ordinance made to stop this, because it has to be stopped at the local level. Because that's it. If we don't start doing this at the local level, the national level just keeps right on rolling along. Thank you.
I'm a resident of Vassar Township, formerly city of Vassar, and know a little bit about Wolverine Human Services.
Erica, can you spell your last name for me?
Aymer. I just want to say with regards to the change of use, Wolverine Human Services has made countless statements to say that they are a facility to house first-time offenders of nonviolent crimes, in which we have records from the state, the courts, all of the backgrounds on these individuals. We're not going to have that from these illegals. We're not going to know their past, and we're not going to have a documented record of where they have been and what they have done. So to me, that seems like a change of use. They may not be first-time offenders of nonviolent crimes, and they may do more. And speaking of a security matter, I can speak personally that when 2 individuals escaped from Wolverine Human Services, they made it all the way to Ridgeville. They broke into St. Michael's School, vandalized it, and robbed the place. So if we're going to contain them in our town, and they're making it all the way to Ridgeville, we need something to protect our property and our citizens. That's it.
Thank you.
Jeff Backler, I'm a resident of Vassar. Just got a couple real quick questions. This change of, or rezoning that we're looking at doing, is that correct?
No.
Okay,
We're
so
not rezoning.
you're not deciding on anything?
No. There was a question brought by the chair in regards to Wolverine Human Services about the background, because I don't believe anybody here was on here in 1991. So in regards to the matter, and then there was a question at the city council meeting in regards to this topic in general. And it came down to a zoning and a land use question that was proposed, and that starts here at this level.
So at this point in time, there's no plan by the board, zoning board, to do any changes at all?
I believe there, and I'm not going to speak for the board member, but I believe there's going to be a request to send a request to Wolverine Human Services to outline their plan of action. And then if that is responded to, I'll give it to the board.
What I'm trying to establish is, does a zoning decision made by this group keep something from coming here or not?
You know, I don't say that in a different way. I'm not going to.
All right. Can this group make a zoning decision that would keep these illegal entry immigrants from coming to this facility?
What you're saying is make a new ordinance right now?
Would that be, if that's what it would be? I don't know. I'm just saying, does this group have the authority to prevent those individuals from coming.
Are you saying, make, as she stated, make an ordinance saying we don't accept illegals in the city?
I'm saying whatever, I don't know what the legal terms is, what the zoning rules would be, I don't know any of that. My question, I think, is real simple. Is it within the ability of this group to put something in place, an ordinance or whatever it might be, that would prevent those individuals from coming to this facility here in Vassar?
We could probably vote on something like that, but it could be questioned by.
Okay. All right. Last quick question. Again, I think similar to what the first gentleman was saying, that we could not have foreseen this type of thing coming back in even '88 or something when this
91.
facility first started. Okay. But it just seems to me that with the world the way it is these days, that U.S. citizens maybe should be at some point in time added to this. Just a personal opinion. Thank you.
Well, things always change as time goes along, and just like after.
And as things have changed numerous
Just
times.
after 9/11, we came out with all kinds of new Home Security Act, we had,
Why can't we do something about that then? It's probably not anything I believe you could fix right now today, but I'm thinking that in the future, as more updates and things happen, maybe that is something that should be put in there for future. I guess it's the opinion of the board, but I just want to ask that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question. We probably cannot stop this one right now, but we could, with our attorneys, stop later on, some more coming.
You can always request by motion a change of an ordinance or review change of an ordinance, which we've done in the past. Typically, it was a motion to review a section of the ordinance, and then, in essence, what the ultimate goal of for the body is, and then we've reviewed it and gone through that. So if someone wants to make a motion after this point, we'll put it back on the agenda if it does get approved.
What I'm saying though is to stop, change it right this minute.
No.
Could we or would we not end up being similar to Frankwood and being sued for changing something?
Our
When
ordinance
something is
is
already in place
Our-
and something could be happening, and if we change the rules right this second for this group.
well, it's not going to happen.
That would be like an ex post facto.
Right. Just to share with everybody in regards to a zoning ordinance change, it requires at least a 3-meeting minimum with 2 public hearings. So nothing will get approved within 2 or even a 24-hour period. The process works typically is that it starts here, we discuss it for those descriptions and changes, then there's a motion made by this board to hold a public hearing at the planning commission level the following month, which we do. It's put in the newspaper, people can make public comments if they choose to do so, and then at that time, the planning commission has the decision either to make those necessary changes and recommend it to go to the city council or condemn. If it is made to go forward to the city council, then the city council by ordinance or by charter has 2 readings, that being it'll be in 1 month for a first reading, and then it's a request of the city council to then make a motion to approve a second reading and a public hearing. And then if that does happen, then it's put on that following month's agenda, and then we hold that public hearing again. The people have a right to communicate to city council, and then it's up to a vote of city council to approve that ordinance if they choose to. If they choose not, then it is dead. If they choose to approve it, then per charter, we have to publish it in the newspaper for an effective date. So minimum, it's 90 days. And typically, it's more like 120 days.
Because you have special counsel,
Yep.
special meeting.
I think we have an obligation to do just that.
I know we got
I'd like to do just that.
How do we get this
I have
started?
a question. And this is I guess this is my question, because these gentlemen both brought up this, the word is illegal. In my estimation, if they're illegal coming into the country, they're illegal here in Vassar. And I guess my question is, can we make an ordinance where we do not allow illegals in the city?
That's something that we have to consult with the attorney.
Could. There, I believe in Arizona, they were law enforcement, they were actually enforcing federal immigration law, and they were forced to stop that federal government or interfered with
sued, I think, by the Department of Justice. I don't know, I don't remember all the details, but I remember that there was a great deal of legal trouble, which is unfortunate, but, you know, so I don't know.
That was eventually resolved. Sir, that was eventually resolved and they were allowed to enforce the law.
Yeah.
This is
The other question,
One right.
when you're talking about juvenile offenders, you need to stop and remember these people, whoever they are, when they came across, they are an offender because they now are, they came
Well, that's
across
another,
illegally, so
that's
they
a
are
good
an
point.
offender.
So I guess they would qualify then, because they are
Yes.
juvenile
They are
offenders.
offenders, they have broken the law, so they are an offender,
Automatically,
unfortunately.
But they're not
Wait a
being
minute,
charged.
they're offenders, according to federal, the federal definition, they don't come for you, they haven't charged them anything. I don't even know what they call them misplaced, they're not even offenders.
But isn't that why they?
But in our mind, our definition of, yeah, they have, but then obviously the federal government doesn't.
I know, I'm just being the
I mean, yeah, I know.
advocate of the fact that unfortunately
That's
they
a good
became
point.
offenders.
That's a good point.
We have Wolverine, they're supposed to rehabilitate and
Can more than one person talk at a time so we can hear?
Hold on a second. Yeah, you're too many at one time. One more question here from
Yes, I have more comment than a question. My name is Chuck Whitney. When we first broke the shores and came to this big piece of real estate, we were afraid of the Indians, so we shot them, killed them, all of them we could. But you know, a lot of those Indians are very productive people in our society. When the Chinese were brought over to work the railroads, oh my gosh, the slanders, really, in our country. Some of our best people are were 100%. When the Polish came to this country to work the factories, oh, what they would do to us. How many people do you know whose name ends in speech? I guess I could go on for quite a while there, but we have many. The Japanese were one that I wanted to especially mention. We got so fearful of anyone of Japanese descent, we built huge prisons, huge prison camps to throw them all in prison because they were Japanese. Hey, we've got some pretty good Japanese people in our country doing some pretty good things. A lot of people came to this country because they ran out of potatoes. Okay, well, you know about all the mix that are in this country. That's because their name starts with mix. I see fear. I see fear all through here. I see a little bit of fear in a lot of us. But we really don't need to have fear. We need to just be conscious of people. I'm talking my own personal opinion. I don't want to see any more videos of people sleeping in cardboard boxes. And that's a lot. I've been in Mexico and there's someone pretty close to just that. I don't want to see that. I don't want us to be responsible. Thank you for your time.
Where are you at? Are you Vassar? Where are you? Vassar?
527 Grant Street.
Oh, you're gonna say, okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else be at 5?
I'm sorry. Right, this will be, okay.
Not really more of a comment than a question once again. You know, reminding you guys that the primary purpose of government is to maintain the health, safety, and welfare of those of us in the community. And your decision should be based on that. I want to make it quite clear that these people who are crossing the border, they're being detained briefly, they're being hastily distributed around the country, anywhere that they can be sent without organized resistance to get them where they're going. They have not been properly vetted. We don't know if these so-called children are criminals. We do not know if they belong to gangs. We do not know what offenses they may have been involved in. We're assuming, because we're being told by our federal government, that they're safe. How many of you trust what's coming from the federal government lately?
No.
I certainly don't. They have their own agenda. And that agenda is to get these people placed quickly so that they can be absorbed into the general public in a rather underhanded fashion. Another thing that I want to point out is, we're not talking about 60 kids. My understanding is that Wolverine is going to continue this process, that they're going to be rotating groups through that facility on an ongoing basis. Whether it's 60 first of all or 120, we don't know what the number is today. We see that, the story changes every time they open their mouths over there.
No.
So we don't know when they're coming. We do know that they're going to rotate them through. The more they rotate through there, the more chance there is for a risk to health, safety, and welfare. If you don't think so, then I want you to be there when the bus shows up. And I want you to shake hands with each person coming off the bus and let them know this.
I will.
If you think that there may not be carriers of medical resistant tuberculosis, fine, prove it. Go over and shake their hand. Let them talk to you. They're not being vetted. We don't know what they're bringing to our community. So why should we be allowing this to happen, to endanger us, so that Wolverine can make $3.1 million for 4 weeks worth of work?
Brad, can you share your opinion about us, or is it confidential?
It's confidential at this time.
Are you sharing with the council, or
It's
you
going
send
to be
them
up.
a hard copy?
They did not get a hard copy yet, and we discussed with them also.
But
They will be, they've been shared the original packet.
because I
with you
really think
guys.
that this board, I can see a lot of concerns, people on the board, but I believe that we need to go with the attorney's opinion. If you don't trust the attorney's opinion, ask for another attorney's opinion. It's a whole lot better than being sued, because you're trying to change. These kids are on their way. They're on their way. We've allowed, and I'm just worried if you send them, if we have always allowed them to bring in, we've trusted them to bring in kids that are, following under the plan that they have, we can't change that. If you try to change, without an attorney's opinion, it's like you can't. Otherwise, we're gonna be sued. Wolverine has just as much, they have more money than we do.
They've also lied to the community, I don't know if they let go on their house.
Well,
Unless you work there or have a family member that.
Hey, you are too speaking.
I do have,
I have
I have a son that teaches every single child out there. My baby, do you really, believe that would I shake their hand, where's ever the gentleman? Yes, I would. I'm letting my child shake their hand.
Why is she talking about it?
Well, I just think that we, as board, as the city, we need to be very careful with the league. And I see the concerns. There's a lot of concerns here. But I don't, I can remember when Frankenmuth wanted to bring in Walmart, and the people just bombarded every place. They did not want Walmart in Frankenmuth. Well, you know what? They're paying good $4 million now because they changed the game. Or they changed the rules in the middle of the game. Vassar doesn't have $4 million.
For insurance.
You got a good point.
Their insurance, you really think their insurance is gonna, but how much do the attorneys cost,
I'm just saying, it's.
I'm just saying, that's what's happened. I'm just.
Frankly, we thought it was worth that amount, and they did. So if it's worth it, then it's worth doing.
Do you think this is worth the $4 million at least?
You're talking hypothetical, you're saying, are we gonna get sued still?
So in regards,
I'm just saying.
maybe you have one more comment?
Yeah, she was first. She said
Are
that
you
twice.
gonna?
Help me up there.
Okay.
I didn't bring my penis.
No, you can
Nancy, go
That's
ahead.
okay.
talk really loud.
Just talk real loud.
All right.
You're gonna get moved a
Well, I
lot.
can talk loud, believe me. Don't worry about that, no.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm not starting up.
Where are you going?
I just gotta get the feet underneath. Okay, I'm listening to all this, and I'm thinking, all of you are speaking without any knowledge of what the hell you're talking about. You know that? Believe me, that's hard to listen to you. I've been around this world long enough to know it's time to get your, before you start talking and coming here and making your big fat comments about how terrible Vassar is. We're doggone good people and we're smart people. And we know how to take care of our town. And we don't need all you insiders running in here and telling us what we're doing is wrong. And if any of you gone out to Pioneer and talked to them, anybody got any comment, any stuff from them? Anyone? You're very foolish to speak up when you don't know what you're talking about. Because you don't. The process they're going through is the same process the kids have gone through here in town. The ones that have been here. And it's a very good process. And I'm not saying, I've told every one of you that were out on the picket lines and everything, you want to do some good for this city, this country, get yourselves a bus and get down to the border and stop it there. That's where it's got to be stopped, not after they get in this country. When they get in this country, we've got to do something for them. And that's a few weeks of giving them some good food and some a little bit of education they can get before they take them and then put them back. And that's what they're going to do. They're going to take them back to that, or they have relatives there in the United States, and they'll find their relatives, and the relatives are going to have to come and be responsible for them. But they're not going to just dump them on the city. They're not going to dump them on the country now when Pioneer gets them. And the federal government did that. They dumped them on us, and nobody's doing anything about that before they can do anything, and that's at the border. But let Pioneer have a little chance to do something. If we're not going to at least check with them and listen to what they're going to do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just had one question for you, on this. The Declaration of Restrictive Covenants was executed, recorded in 1985, but they expired.
Correct.
Did they just expire on their own?
Correct. The original document had an expiration that they were only good for 25 years.
Would it be worth looking into something that could be reestablished?
That's done mutually among all of the property owners when they originally were done. As a result, I'm gonna just take a stab in the dark and say not all of the property owners out there would probably limit their abilities for those lands and sign on such a document. It was not put on by the city, it was done among the property owners at that time. And as you can see with the amendments that are there, they were signed by all of the property owners at that time in the industrial park.
Would you think it would be wise to look into a review of this at the next meeting?
We've had conversations at the EDC level in regards to that, and I don't think it's worth your time for.
Is it even our ground?
Well, no, I'm just saying in regards to, it has to be, you gotta get all of the parties involved, and they all have to sign off of it. So I'm just gonna say this, I don't know how else to say, if someone thinks they're gonna get picked on during that process, they're probably not gonna come to the table and sign off on it. So I don't think that's the best use of time. it's a done deal. I reported it as a fact of point in 1995 in the process here, because they had to change them for this use as a result, but there's also a point to make that they expired, they're done. In the 2000s, those property owners didn't think it was worthwhile, nor did it come up to say, you know what, we need to renew these. So it's a point made, it's 2 point made regarding that.
Well, at this point, like Ian said, can't we send some documentation out to Wolverine just to verify that their use in their mind hasn't changed? You talked about.
Yeah, zoning administrator in regards to the, over what was reviewed of the past documentation and what we currently know what their processes are. A letter can be said, if those continued processes are being made, please document that, and there would be no change of use. So, for documentation purposes. If they fail to comply, that's a whole nother conversation to have.
And at that point, we can possibly move on with some of the other conversations about revisiting, ordinance itself.
Yep. And we've made those motions in the past, that being with board members asking to review a specific section and such, that, their request, what section it is, and we would put on the following month's agenda.
Okay. Anybody would like to make a motion for that?
Just
So we'd like to, next month, put on the agenda for, make a motion for reviewing the ordinance itself.
Yeah, I'll make that one.
Which ordinance?
The one concerning the usage that Wolverine is using.
So the permitted use for
Permitted use.
and it's in essence, just for clarity purposes,
Right.
the permitted use is in I-1 in our ordinance, and anything that's permitted use in I-1 is also permitted use in I-2. That property out there is zoned I-2, but I just don't want to get anybody confused. It would be for permitted uses in I-1, which is light industrial.
Whatever their use is, that's what we want to review. And so that we could we could possibly make any amendments for any future situations that may occur in the future that are like this. So that maybe you may not want to have the same results, potentially.
So what are your proposed amendments for clarity purposes?
Why don't we just take part of all that reason, so review that ordinance.
So I have who's supporting that?
Who's making the motion?
I heard, yeah, I have Binder as the motion maker, is that
Right.
Okay. I have motion by Binder to review ordinance for the permitted use in I-1 for amendment purposes for future uses. That's the motion I have.
So we would be amending that.
Doesn't have my motion, just as review.
They'll start to review it first, then we'll have to work on it. There need to be more time to work on it after review it. I'll second that.
So again, I have a motion by Binder, supported by Casper, to review ordinance for permitted uses in I-1 to make amendments for future uses. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, does the group know silence means a yes?
Yes.
Okay, so, order of the chair, what's your determination? There's lost silence. Is it passing?
It sounds like it passed to me. I didn't hear any nays. Any nays?
I have one abstention.
Okay, yeah. Guess it passed.
Okay. I think there's gonna be another motion on the floor.
Is there another motion, Joe?
I guess I'll make the motion to ask Pioneer for documentation furthering their plan for the use specific to this application, I guess, or notification about their future intended use. Like, I'm thinking of application, different definition of application, right?
Your notification.
In regard to the proposal for temporary shelter?
Right, temporary shelter of the legally owned.
Motion by Rudnick, request from Wolverine Human Services documentation regarding their current use and similar use for temporary shelter regarding, you want me to put? Okay. Regarding, yep, is it that?
Yes, yes, please.
It's your motion.
I'll second
Motion by Rednick, supported by Binder, request from Wolverine Human Service documentation regarding their current use and I'm going to put proposed similar use for temporary shelter regarding illegal aliens. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Any other motions? Motions on this one? We have any comments?
Just very, very brief comment. I know, I think most of us know we are a nation of immigrants, and immigrants have built this nation to a wonderful, great country it is. At the same time, those immigrants came here legally. Well,
It wasn't.
yes, we should go in 1700 or something. Okay, if you don't want to go with that, then I'm just going to leave here. We're bringing in thousands of kids that are between the ages of very young up to 17, 18, and 19. Now, this facility is only supposed to take them up to 17.
Juveniles.
Okay, juveniles. But they're coming in like crazy. So I understand the issue of we want to have compassion for these poor children. And the government now wants us to give them $3.7 billion to help these poor children. It sounds like a great thing to help these poor children. We have poor American children who need help. We have vets that need help. We have all these other people who need help. At what point do we stop this? Let's just say we do it, and we bring these kids in, and we help these poor kids. There are millions of kids in this world who are far less fortunate than the kids here in the United States. Do we stop at 10,000, 20,000, 100,000, a million, 10 million? Where do we stop? We can't take care of every child in the world, regardless how bad it might be. Thank you.
Very good. Okay, that concludes the Wolverine Human Services discussion. Site plan. This is the site plan 137 Goodrich Street. New site plan / parking lot exception.
It's on the wall. So do you want to take it down and just stay there? You have a proposal, there's a change in the request for 137 Goodrich. It came before the planning commission before. As indicated in your letter here from July 16, 2013. Approval was extended for site plan approval to the property owner. As a result, that approval has expired, and he is resubmitting the site plan. I only have the one copy. What's included, the copy that's, wasn't there a drawing included? I don't see it. I thought it was in the packet too. Is that?
It was, I read
So I guess.
this part.
Yes, okay. Yeah, so in essence, there's a drawing there, and just for the new members here, the request was for 3 apartments. Now that property owner is resubmitting and taking the 3rd property out and converting those into 2 separate bedrooms with a bathroom. So then you have 2 units in the property. And I've kind of overlaid it on his drawings here, and then if you guys, if we could share it to the other side when you guys are done.
Okay, this is this, but where is the, section for the parking lot?
Well, we don't have one for the parking lot. What was submitted before, the parking lot is gonna be an issue. This is what was submitted before, but this doesn't apply anymore. He doesn't need as many anymore. about that. No, this is a year old. Yes. Okay. He's gonna have 2 3-bedroom units. It's 3, or 2 units, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. That's why that changed. Correct. Well, that's not
Excuse me, all these people from out of town and treat us like we're students. And I resent it. We're not from out of town.
I know, I have great grandparents that didn't. What do we need to do with this?
We're in the site plan that we're reviewing. We're going to go through the process.
They have.
You should have 2 minutes and 1 chart. You know, 2 minutes and 2 minutes and 1 parcel.
Now we need 6 parking spots, right?
So this is a small bit down, we're doing the 4 parking spaces instead of all the ones that you had originally put in.
Right.
Probably can't deny
Oh, I see.
He needs 4, he needs 1 handicap.
Well, now he needs 4.
Correct.
He used to, he had 6.
Yeah, he needs it.
Well, here's the 4.
Wouldn't it be easier to ask him to resubmit all this to us so that we have everything resolved? Yeah, I mean, we don't know where he's putting all this stuff.
Right. I understand.
Why
That's up to you. I'm not disagreeing, that's up to you guys. Usually we go through here and you get the list, and then I'll send them a list of what is needed and what is not needed. It's up to the group. I know we don't have such a list.
What's your name?
We should submit.
Here's another.
It's got new things, so.
Well, this is the fire street.
Yeah. So, in regard to this, we talked about this, I think, a couple of months ago, that his site plan was expiring because it was more than a year old. So, and you have a copy in your packet of what was submitted. A call was placed into the property owner. I did not get a return phone call back. So after looking at the drawings that are seen, what is being proposed is that the 3-unit originally proposed is going to a 2-unit. And does it meet, the question comes down to zoning, which states, as stated before, special exception use, states all uses permitted in R1 and R2 one-family residential districts, and all uses permitted in RM1 and RM2 multiple family residential districts, provided that such use shall be permitted only as to structures which are now in existence and would otherwise be non-conforming uses under this chapter or any amendment thereto. That's what it was approved under before. He did not fill out the application nor pay because we had an ongoing conversation regarding the parking lot issue. That's why I gave you the copies of the meeting minutes for the new members, so you can have those for reference purposes. So the question proposed is, yes, what's being requested by Shirley, that they do want leaner drawings, or do you want to create a list for me to mail to him? We've done it both ways in the past. For all you have to use the bigger folks, you gotta use
Submit
them.
all new stuff for us so that we can look at it.
You gotta look at it, yeah.
Yeah, but to make it look
Wouldn't it be easy if there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 new members, then this is all old stuff we don't even,
So that's the size of the agreement, 17.5 by 8.
Yeah.
You know, it's the whole thing.
Oh, this is all one,
No. It's all going vertical. It's all going vertical.
This is, this is the old plan. The big sheet's the old plan,
Correct.
from a year ago, there's 3 apartments in there. Now he's gonna have 2.
Correct.
I would like to, you know, I'm sure, why don't we ask to put together a new, fresh documents, whatever you need to have.
We've done it both ways. That's why the
You know, a new drawing that depict shows, I don't know if you want, you know, because this picture, this drawing here really doesn't do it justice.
This drawing here says
Well, and then here's your,
But I
here's your
mean,
parking. Here, yes, and
Right.
yes, that.
why don't we just ask him to give us a new drawing, we can throw in all that old stuff and just look new. Because the old-
Just received that
You got
tonight.
it.
Yes.
That was a big decision for you. Did you say that Wolverine has taken in juveniles at the request of their parents?
I wouldn't know that for positive, but I don't know what they,
there's been a motion in regards to, and we're gonna send them a letter on that.
Okay, so there's a possibility that Wolverine has violated their permit by taking in juveniles at the request of their parents, as opposed to their special use, which means they would take juvenile offenders, which would have been set by the court for a beginning date and an ending date. So there is that possibility they are in violation of their permit. So you have decided to send the zoning administrator there to review their records?
They did not say that on it. They said, I'm gonna send them a letter.
Okay, if that is a possibility, that they are in violation of their permit, how would you verify that they have or have not taken in juveniles that have not been sent there by the court? Have they
They're
ever
gonna send me
been,
a letter.
have they ever had their records reviewed by this board or
I've
by
been
the
here.
city?
I've been here for 2.5 years. In the 2.5 years period, no.
Okay.
I can't comment in regards since 1991.
Okay, so really no one has verified what Wolverine has been doing there?
I'm not gonna answer that. I can't answer that honestly on it because I've been here for 2.5 years. I don't know what the previous city managers did as the zoning administrator. And this group has gotten the copies of the information in the meeting minutes that addresses all of the approvals that were requested of the planning commission at that time and of the ZBA at that time. Those minutes don't reflect any additional tidbits of information associated with that. They include, and if anybody wants to FOIA that packet, they're more than happy to do so. It includes the request and the motion made.
So then Wolverine has not had their records reviewed, as far as you know, in the last 2 years, to see who they are keeping there. If they are all
My
juvenile
knowledge is
offenders.
limited to my 2.5 years, and I can tell you, I have not done it personally, no,
Okay.
in the 2.5 years. That's all I can be responsible for at this time.
Okay, I just wondered, because I thought I heard that there was a possibility that they were accepting juveniles or children at their parents' request.
I think it was thrown out, it wasn't a fact.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So we really haven't had a zoning administrator that's gone over there in quite some time for an inspection that you know of. In the last 2 years, have
You
they
would
had
have
an
to talk to
inspection?
you'd have to talk to Mr. LaChance, you'd have to talk to Mr. LaFever, you'd have to talk to Mr. Brian Kishnick, you'd have to talk to Julius Succi, you'd have to talk to Mr. Mr. Mackey, Mr. Atkins, and hold on, wastewater treatment, and Mr. Walker.
So who is the current zoning administrator?
You're talking to him. Yes.
So you haven't been there 2 years?
No?
Thank you.
Yep.
There seems to be a lot of confusion and misinformation or absence of information. I could extend to you a roundtable discussion with a nonprofit organization that specializes in immigration and illegal immigration. They're located in Washington, D.C., and they regularly testify and comment with Congress on this very topic. They are star witnesses. That's his invitation to you, and I will send you each a letter if you would like to do that. I can set that up. I'll be doing that at the House of Representatives and the Senate House. Thank you. Oh, here's the list.
Okay, you got one, I forgot what done, okay. Tamara, wait a minute, what's this list? This is not the contact information, what is this?
That's from the first public comment I did.
Oh,
Sorry, my voice is...
okay.
Lady Hamlin, 128 Prospect. Just want to remind you guys, Wolverine Human Services is not the enemy. Should be treated like an enemy because they're not an enemy. Wolverine Human Services performs a service, and they are looking at doing something that maybe we don't approve of, or people don't like, or don't think is right, but they are not our enemy. The same as any other business would not be our enemy here in the city of Vassar, that we have supported us and we have supported for years. We have a history with them, and since 1991, I can tell you that I don't think anybody's life has been in danger to a point that we have known of in a very serious capacity since they've been here. And I feel that you guys, while you look away, Mr. Gary, I would like to say that I think you guys are doing a great job. I don't see you as a confused bunch of people. I see you dealing with a situation that has come up that we've never had to deal with before, and you're doing a great job. I don't see you as confused. I see you as people who are searching for answers, and I know that you're going to do what's best. I'm no more scared of the children at Wolverine Human Services than I am of the protesters that wear the guns and stuff on their bodies and rant and rave, and I'm afraid of them more than I'm afraid of these children. So just to let you know that, and I don't think I'm in the minority with the citizens of the city of Vassar, and I just ask you to continue to do what you feel is best for our residents, for our taxpayers, for our businesses. Remember that, you know, this is Vassar. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, if you don't mind, I'm not from here, I'm not from Vassar, I'm actually from Grayling, up by Grayling.
I need a name.
Oh, Jeff Kittles. And this is directly.
Hold on, yeah, how do you spell the last name?
Kittles.
Okay,
Fairview, Michigan.
gotcha.
And this is directed right towards the zoning commission.
Administrator.
Administrator,
Yep.
you said that so far, you've been here 2 years, and you, as you know of, there has not been an audit done on their books. Find out exactly what's going on there, am I correct?
I've not been there, no.
Okay, do you not see that it would be prudent that you do so and find out if what they're doing is legal? Are they abiding by their laws that you guys have set up for them? You guys made the rules. It's your job to check on them, make sure they're following them. If they're not, they're in breach of contract. End of story, shut them down.
Yes.
I'm Pastor Emeritus Nathan Bickle from Bay City, and the reason I came here is that I'm a citizen of the United States. I'm a Michigan taxpayer. I had relatives that came from the Vassar area, maybe some, well, I do presently have Vassar relatives. I pay taxes, Delta Junior College, some of them went to Delta Junior College. But I just posted on my moralmatters.org website today an article that had to do about the illegal aliens, and they are illegal. I think that's a distinction that really has to be made, because we have a lawless president, out of control government in Washington, D.C. If any of you want to object and say it isn't so, then ask yourselves why the Obamacare law was crammed through, and that there's been over 30 revisions of that by dictatorial fiat. But I posted this one comment by Ed Coet. He has a Facebook article there. And I'd like you as a board to whenever you make a decision, to make a compassionate decision, but also decisions that are based upon legality. Even right now, the name for the illegal aliens are being changed to immigrants or migrants, and the language will change to foster the political correctness at the time. But getting back to that Ed Coet, he's a military veteran, and he said, in order to resolve this issue, we ought to stick to the basis of law. The existing law that we have, we should be compassionate toward those illegal aliens, especially the children. And it just isn't just children. There are men and women, younger, older adults, and it's just, it's an issue that's focused around children, but that's not the whole story. He said, be compassionate to the children, and I would say give them medical help, but then Ed Coet said, go ahead and then deport them. And then he made the statement, he said, America was never called to be a global orphanage.
Well, then, how do you spell your last name?
Bickel, B-I-C-K-E-L. And I've been trying to keep up with the issue. I don't know as much as...
I only got Pastor as the first name, which...
Pastor Emeritus.
Okay.
Having been...
First name.
Nathan.
Nathan, thank you.
I don't claim to know all the issues. I try to...
Just want to get the name right for the...
Oh, okay.
So...
But if any of you are interested in more information, go to look me up, Nathan M. Bickel, on Facebook, and I always post my moralmatters.org website articles. That's my political site, and I have ChristianMessage.org. That's the spiritual site. But sometimes, and a lot of times, it doesn't fail, because this is a moral issue, and it's an issue based on law. Right now, our country has a lot of disorder. And the Bible says that God is not the God of disorder and confusion. And he also expects government officials to obey the higher power, as it says in the book of Romans. And that's the supreme creator, God Almighty. So thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, can we move to the public comment section?